Good morning. It is Friday, June 12th, 2020. This is the Morning Scoop, your daily Buckeye fix. My name is Tom Moore, and today I'm joined by Marc Givler, recruiting analyst for BuckeyeScoop.com. Marc, thanks for joining us.
Great to be here, Tom. You're doing a great job on the show. I've been listening every morning, so I'm really happy with kind of the direction we've taken here.
Good. Awesome. Appreciate it. And if you guys are interested in subscribing to the show, it's on Apple Podcasts now, as are the rest of the the BuckeyeScoop.com podcasts. Just search Buckeye Scoop on Apple Podcasts or your podcast platform of choice. You can subscribe to all the shows there, including Mark's show, Gives in the Bank. Marc, can you just kind of let us know a little bit about you're working with Bill the Bank Green on those? Those are two pretty big names in the recruiting world. Can you just let the listeners know a little bit about your show and what you guys are doing there?
Yeah, I think the easiest way to put it is, Bill and I used to run into each other all the time, at camps and games and 7-on-7s and things like that. And anytime we would do that, we would sit there and, we would chat about, what we're seeing out there or kids we saw a week before or, kind of just the general recruiting landscape. And we want to bring those types of conversations to our listeners on the podcast where, yes, we're going to give you some insight into Ohio State recruiting, but it's also kind of a platform of like, this is kind of what we do in the summer at a camp. We stand around, we watch these guys, we talk about it, and we want to kind of bring everyone kind of inside how that goes with us. And it's been really an easy transition because, again, it's just stuff we were already doing.
And those podcasts are free. They're on Apple Podcasts or whatever podcast platform you'd like. So you can check those out. Some of the stuff that these guys are writing, though, and their interviews with players and analysis, that's a subscription-only feature on BuckeyeScoop.com. And if you have not subscribed yet, I have great news. Father's Day is just over a week away. So if you are a father, this would be a great time to drop a hint that, a BuckeyeScoop.com membership would be a great Father's Day gift because I'm not going to the office right now. I don't need another tie. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much golf you play, Marc, but I doubt people need, another putter in the closet. So that would probably not be a bad thing to ask for. And if you have a dad, also probably a good thing to think about asking for. So one of the things that we had on the site this week that would be a good indication of what you'd be getting as a BuckeyeScoop.com member, Jack Sawyer, one of the top players in the class of 2021, coming to Ohio State. He's a Pickerington kid, top 10 player in the nation by basically every source, and potentially the next big thing on the Ohio State defensive line in Larry Johnson's assembly line of defensive ends. He suffered a pretty serious injury last year. Marc, can you just let us know kind of how Jack is doing right now in that rehab process?
Yeah, he's completely unrestricted at this point. He's full go. The knee is healthy. I've been talking to Jack a lot about that the last couple months. He said he feels better than ever. The interesting thing, if there's ever a silver lining to a knee surgery, it's that sometimes you can come back stronger just because of the rehab process you have to go through. It makes you so strong in the rest of your body and in that knee that sometimes you feel better after the recovery, and that's kind of where Jack says he's at right now. He feels like he's in the best shape of his life. So that's probably bad news for high school quarterbacks this fall.
He is such a fascinating athlete because he's, everyone knows him as the pass rushing defensive end that is just absolutely terrorizes quarterbacks. He's also quite a good basketball player on a very, very good Pickerington Central basketball team. Can you share a little bit about what kind of athlete Ohio State's getting out of him?
Yeah, so, with the quarterback thing, I mean, he kind of filled in last year towards the end of the year, and they had some injuries and a transfer, and they kind of got down to a desperation situation at quarterback, and he stepped in, and they were kind of toast when he stepped in. I think they were like 1-3 or maybe even 1-4, and he kind of rallied them, and they got into the playoffs. So he's a heck of a talent. I even saw him, the first time I saw him throw was actually his sophomore year. They ran like a reverse pass and they pitched it to him, and he threw it about 60 yards on a dime to Chris Scott for a touchdown. And I was like, oh my gosh, what can't this guy do? The other, with the basketball stuff, he was the first Central Ohio prospect in his class to get a Division I basketball offer. I mean, he's perhaps the best basketball player in the area, and Central Ohio basketball is very strong. He was also a heck of a baseball player coming up, but that was kind of the first sport he cut off his list here as he got into high school. So he's one of those guys that everything he seems to do or try to do, he does well athletically. It's just some guys just naturally are kind of able to whether it's muscle memory or whatever it is, they have this knack where even if they haven't done something very long, you just kind of show them once or twice and they can just do it. And Jack's that type of kid.
Yeah, I think I said Pickerington Central earlier. He is a Pickerington North kid. Pickerington needs to stop building high schools. It's confusing. Speaking of guys who are incredible athletes, it just reminds me of Justin Fields, who was an incredible baseball player, like a recruited baseball player in high school, and also, obviously a pretty good quarterback. But he last year, the coaching staff, I think it was Mike Yursich, took all the quarterbacks golfing, and Justin Fields had never played golf before, and he went out, and I think he said he broke 80, just his first time out playing golf. He'd never tried it before, but just, guys who are just incredible athletes, just, you get the idea that there's literally nothing they can't do. Athletes at a certain level. Jack Sawyer seems like he might be on one of those types of people. So yeah, that's the kind of person you would not mind having on your football team. Another guy who Ohio State would definitely not mind having on the football team, 2022 linebacker Gabe Powers out of Marysville. He's the top player in the state for 2022. Ohio State has landed commits from several in-state players that class, but they have not landed Gabe Powers yet. Mark, you went to go talk to Gabe earlier this week. What can you tell us about him and his recruitment?
Yeah, I think that's just a matter of time. They've had discussions about bumping things up, as probably most kids have during this COVID shutdown, but obviously has not happened to this point, which kind of leads me to believe he's probably going to take some visits this fall first. But I think Ohio State's very much in the driver's seat right now. I mean, they've been the most aggressive with him. They've got him on these Zoom calls. He kind of told me that was kind of the only school he's really been doing that with so far. Penn State's in there. I think West Virginia actually may be the number 2 right now. His brother's there, and he knows some people down there. The coaches have done a good job recruiting him down there, not too far from home. So I think maybe West Virginia could be a dark horse, but it's going to be really difficult for me to see him anywhere but Ohio State at this point. They've jumped out to a really good lead, and I know Al Washington has made a really good impression there, and it's just one of those things where I think they're they're trying to internally talk about timing and does it make sense this early, or is it more of a thing just take some visits this fall, make sure, and then I think they'll decide at that point. But yeah, everything looks good there for Ohio State.
Have they given him any indication where they see him fitting as a linebacker, or is that still kind of up in the air?
Yeah, I mean, right now it's kind of like an outside linebacker. I'm not convinced he won't grow into a defensive end. That's kind of a thing. I get that's a wait and see thing. I mean, he's got 2 years of high school football left, and then you got to see how he would respond to Mickey Marotti's program and kind of where that takes him. But I look at him as kind of your classic, Sam linebacker type of player who may even end up having to put a hand in the dirt. That's kind of what I've seen, and I know they're saying outside right now for him. But I think even Gabe knows, it could depend on kind of where his body goes.
That's still a couple years away from the 2022 class showing up on campus. Before we let you go, 2020, that season obviously a lot closer, and all of a sudden everyone thinks it's a lot more optimistic that there is going to be a 2020 season that probably starts on time. This is a really interesting year for Ohio State because the offense has a lot of big names back. Most of the coaching staff is back. On defense, you've got a lot of turnover. There's a lot of new faces there that lost Chase Young, Devon Hamilton, Robert Landers, Malik Harrison, Damon Arnett, Jeff Okuda, Jordan Fuller. I mean, they've lost a ton of guys on defense. So you've got a lot of opportunities for guys who have not gotten on the field a ton yet to be potential breakout players this year. Who do you see as a potential breakout guy on both sides of the ball for Ohio State this year.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's going to be more opportunity on defense. I'm going to kind of go two people here. The one guy is a guy I've kind of talked up for a while now, and I think it's starting to click from kind of talking to people in terms of a mental component and just, experience in the defense and just knowing what it takes, how to be a pro, learning from someone like Jordan Fuller, who was a pro's pro at the program the last couple of years. But I think Josh Proctor has all the opportunity here in the world to become a really, really good safety. And he had a rough game against Clemson last year, as we all remember. Got himself out of position a couple times, slipped once or twice on a couple important plays. But the talent is certainly there. And now that there's legitimate opportunity there in front of him, I think he's going to kind of take the bull by the horns there. But I think the total wild card on the defense is Teron Vincent, because we didn't get to see him last year because of the shoulder injury. This was a guy who was going to be a factor last year. I mean, he was in the plans last year, and it just, he couldn't get that shoulder healthy. They talked about maybe bringing him back at the end of the year. That didn't happen, obviously. And I could see him kind of coming out of nowhere and just being like, whoa, where did this come? All of a sudden they've got like an all Big Ten type of defensive tackle. I think he's got that type of potential in him, and it's going to be interesting to see just how quickly we see that this fall. But I think he's a guy who could really take a huge leap. And, offensively, I'm just going to take the low-hanging fruit. Tony had a great piece on him this week, and Garrett Wilson is going to – I'm not going to speculate. I'm just going to say it. Garrett Wilson is going to launch himself into stardom this year. He just is. He's going to be the next first-round draft pick at wide receiver out of Ohio State, and we're going to see that immediately this year. He's going to have a monster year if he stays healthy.
Yeah, he seems like a very, very good pick, because he was, as a true freshman last year, was ahead of where Chris Olave was the year before that. Like he was making plays earlier in the year than Chris Olave was during his freshman year. And Chris Olave exploded last year as a sophomore. I mean, wide receiver is definitely a spot where you usually take a year or so to get up to speed in the system. And you just, like, that is not a spot where you see guys come on as true freshmen day one very often and be immediate impact players. But if you're on that field towards the end of the year and starting to make plays, that is generally a very, very good indication that something big is about to happen. Yeah, he is. I mean, all you had to do is watch the opening drive of that playoff game against Clemson, and you saw someone who is doing things that most human beings can't even dream of doing. He had that one catch where he went way, way, way up, caught it, and got his hand down in bounds. Like that just tells you that right there is all you need to know about where the limit is for him. And with Justin Fields back this year, Olave on the outside, Wilson moving inside to the H spot, like that just seems like a role that he is destined to do incredible things for. I like all of those picks. I would agree with all of those. The other guy that I think it'd be interesting to talk about at some point is Zach Harrison, who is, you don't want to put uncomfortable comps on anyone, but if you go back and look at Nick Bosa's freshman year stats or Chase Young's freshman year stats, and you put them next to Zach Harrison's freshman year stats, they're right there. Then those numbers look pretty similar. I mean, you covered Zach Harrison in high school, obviously. What do you see out of Zach Harrison this year?
Yeah, he's another guy who could, take the leap, a Garrett Wilson type of leap that I expect this year. Just so physically talented. You rarely see a guy with his physical tools. I mean, the first time I saw him, he was a freshman and he had no idea what he was doing. He was quite honestly, he wasn't a very good football player at that point in his development. But you looked at him and it was like, geez, he's pushing 6'6", he's long, he's like a track star. And then you find out more about him and how hard he works and how much he cares and what a good person he is and, all that other stuff. And you're like, there's just really very little chance this guy fails. Then you pair him with Larry Johnson, who seems to develop all these guys so well. And it seems like a perfect match. And I'll be honest, Zach was better as a true freshman than I thought he would be. Now, I think he got some additional opportunities that maybe he would not have received if not for some of the injuries. I mean, they were banged up at the end last year. I mean, everyone remembers Chase Young's season, but they barely had Jonathan Cooper. Tyreek Smith was in and out of the lineup. Tyler Friday was in and out of the lineup. They had a lot of injury issues, and that allowed him the opportunity to go out there. But he played much better last year than I thought he could that quickly, which really intrigues me now for this year, where so he was ahead of schedule last year, and now this year. And here's the thing: he should be a true freshman this year. He is only 18 years old still. He doesn't turn 19 until August. So he is still a very young person, and there is so much untapped potential there. But yeah, I mean, I think he's probably the next guy. I mean, certainly Tyreek Smith could be. I think Tyreek Smith has the chance to be an NFL guy as well. But Zach could be the next top 10 type of pick.
All right, Mark, thank you for joining us for the Morning Scoop for Friday, June 12th. You can find us on Apple Podcasts and subscribe there. You can find us and all the other shows on the Buckeye Scoop podcast network. Just search Buckeye Scoop there, and you can subscribe to any or all of them. I'd encourage you to rate and review those as well. And also, please check out BuckeyeScoop.com. We have a lot of great free content available there, plus some incredible articles and content on the Insider board as well that is definitely worth your time. So we appreciate you listening, appreciate your support, and have a great weekend.